Hi everybody, welcome back to another virtual fitness program with the Erie Metro Parks. My name is Emily Kuzmick. I am a 200-hour registered yoga instructor with the Yoga Alliance. I teach locally in Northern Ohio, and then you can also find me online at mkuzyoga on Instagram if you're interested in more offerings in the area. But in the meantime, I'm very excited to be working with Erie Metro Parks on this fitness program in this, semi or more fully virtual state to be determined. So we've created a couple other videos for yoga, and they're all levels, so go ahead and check those out. And then this one will be more of a powerful flow, but it's going to be all levels. So if you're interested in a maybe shorter or less intense version, there is a seated flow that is already up and running. So feel free to check out other programs, but again, this one will be a good variety. So wherever you are, finding a comfortable seat, either on the floor, on your mat. If you really want to begin on a bed or a couch, I think you could do that because we'll begin seated. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket or a block to get the hips slightly above the knees, that might be comfortable, but eventually letting the eyes close and just coming into a comfortable seat. Maybe rolling the shoulders up towards the ears and then down a couple of times. Inhaling them up and exhaling them down. One last time, we'll inhale them up and exhale them down. Go ahead and leave them there, feeling them slide down, shoulder blades down the spine. And the chest is nice and open, heart's shining open here. And taking a quiet moment to set an intention for your practice, for the day, for the rest of 2020, whatever that might be. And asking yourself, where else can you soften? So maybe it's kind of letting go any tension in the legs, or letting the teeth separate and letting the jaw release. And the eyes can be heavy in their sockets. Letting the brow unfurrow. Maybe even letting the hands and fingers soften. And just reminding the mind and the body that it can begin from a soft place. Yoga in life is all about balance, that ebb and flow of strength and relaxation, stress and release, tension and softness. So taking those messages with you in your practice on and off of the mat. Taking a big belly breath in, feeling the belly inflate. And then exhale, feel the belly soften. Letting the eyes flutter open, or you can keep them closed, whatever is comfortable to you. Inhaling the arms up overhead, maybe finding a slight back bend in the seated posture. And then exhale, letting that left hand come on top of the right knee, and the right hand comes behind you. We'll inhale for length as though a thread is being pulled through the top of your scalp, and then exhale, wringing out the low belly and look behind the right shoulder. Taking one last breath here in the seated twist. Exhale, wringing out the low belly. And then inhaling back to center, maybe a little bit of a back bend. And then exhale, twisting the opposite direction, right hand to left knee. The left hand comes behind. Inhaling for height and exhaling to twist. And we'll take one last breath. Inhaling for height here. And exhale, hinging at the hips to fold forward. And wherever your hands land, that is perfect. You don't want to strain or stress anything. Inhaling, the thread is now being pulled through your chest. So opening up here and then exhaling, the chest melt towards the earth. Maybe the forearms and the elbows sink down. Maybe not. Maybe this is as high as we go, wherever you're at. And if you have a block handy or a blanket or a pillow or a book, you can always place that in front of you and let your head rest here. You can change the height. You want to go a little bit deeper into the stretch. And we'll take 2 more quiet breaths here. Very nice. And then just be walking the hands up, placing your book or block aside if you do have it, and we'll just do some quick hip circles, or I guess slow hip circles quickly. And we'll go ahead and inhale over to the right and exhale forward. Inhale to the left, feeling into the obliques. And then exhaling back, navel to spine, kind of finding that cat sensation. Inhaling over to the right, exhaling forward, inhaling to the left, and exhaling back. And go ahead and switch directions. Inhaling to the side, getting all those snaps, crackles, and pops out of the hips. Exhaling back, inhaling over, exhaling forward, inhaling over, and exhaling back. And then we'll go ahead and exhale, rolling over onto hands and knees. If you do have a blanket or would like to roll up your mat to provide extra cushion to your knees, you can absolutely do so. And then setting up here, lining the knees up directly below the hips, wrists directly below the shoulders. And letting that low belly, being of muscles from hip to hip, really pull in here, pressing into the earth. And on your next inhale, dropping the belly and looking up in between the eyebrows, tailbone shoots up, coming into a cow. And then on the exhale, pressing into your mat, navel to spine, coming into a cat. We'll do that just 3 more times. Exhaling into an arched spine. Inhaling into more of a concave spine. We'll do that 1 more time. Inhaling for openness. Exhaling for roundness. And then inhaling back into that neutral spine. And then exhale, we'll shoot right up into that downward dog. So sending the hips up. If you need to keep a bend in the knees here, you can absolutely do so. It's more important to press firmly into all 10 fingers, sending the chest towards the tops of those thighs, than it is to have straightened legs. If you do have that ability, go ahead and straighten them. Sending that tailbone up towards the sky and then back. So we're sending it up and then back. Letting the head shake from side to side. If you'd like to pedal out the knees to begin with, absolutely go for it. We'll take 1 last breath here. And on your next inhale, bending the knees, exhaling the chest towards the tops of the thighs. Inhale, just stepping to the top of your mat to start. So we'll find a halfway lift. Again, if you have a block or a book or anything here, you can press into that, really shooting that tailbone back. And then on the exhale, folding completely, and maybe we'll ragdoll a little bit. So we can bend one knee and then the other. Let opposite hands grab opposite shoulder, or opposite elbows rather, and rock from side to side. And once again, let the head be heavy. A constant balance of what needs to be engaged and what we can let go. Eventually we'll come into stillness, and then we'll rise up with strength, pressing into both feet simultaneously. An upward salute and maybe a slight back bend here. Exhale the hands to heart center, finding that mountain pose or Tadasana. Go ahead and lift all 10 toes off of your mat so the four corners of each foot are completely grounded. And then checking in with that intention that you set before we bring some more flow to this movement. And on your next inhale, a very strong upward salute, maybe a slight back bend. Exhale, hinging at the hips to fold forward. Inhaling that halfway lift sensation. And then exhale, planting the hands, jump or hop back into that high plank. Yogi's choice, knees can be up or down as you lower down into your chaturanga. Inhaling an upward dog or cobra, so knees up or down. And then coming back either into a child's pose or a downward dog, right? So yogi's choice, whatever you need, knowing that you can always come into a child's pose at any time, either throughout this practice or throughout your day. Maybe not in a public place, but wherever you feel comfortable, child's pose is very cleansing and restorative. And we'll take one last breath here. When you're ready, exhale, bend the knees and look forward. Inhale, step or hop to the top of your mat, finding that halfway lift. Tailbone is shooting back, and spine is flat. Exhale to hinge and fold. Inhale, rising all the way up, an upward salute. Maybe it's like back bend, and then exhale, hands to heart center. And so that was our sun salutation A. We'll go into our sun sal B. Sending the big toes together, metatarsals touch, and we'll inhale, bending the knees, shoulders and hips sink towards the earth. Sitting down into our chair or Utkatasana. Exhale, hinging at the hips to fold forward. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, jump or hop back into that high plank. Knees can be up or down as we lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, an upward dog or cobra. And then exhale, sending the hips back into a downward dog. On our next inhale, we'll send that right leg up. Three-legged dog, keep the hips squared. And then on the exhale, bring that knee forward. Coming into a warrior one. As soon as the hands touch on that inhale, we'll exhale, framing the foot with the hands. Sending that foot back. Leg can be up or down, chaturanga down. Inhale, an upward dog. And then exhale, back, downward dog. Same thing on the left. Inhale, that left leg up, keeping the hips squared. And then exhale, bringing the knee and foot forward, warrior one on the left. Inhale, as soon as those hands touch, exhale, framing the foot. Sending that foot back, chaturanga down on the exhale. Inhale, an upward dog or cobra. And then exhaling the hips back, downward dog, 3 breaths here. And really letting yourself get into this posture. Breathing deeply, not rushing through our breaths. One last breath. And exhale, bend in the knees to look forward. Inhale, step or hop into that halfway lift at the top of your mat. Exhale, fold, big toes come together. And then inhaling up, Utkatasana chair pose. Tailbone is tucked under so the spine is stacked. And then inhale, an upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart center. Taking a moment here, checking in with the body. And we'll do that one more time. Inhaling into our chair, and then exhale, hinging and folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step or hop back. Exhaling down, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog, shooting the hips back. Inhale, right leg up, 3-legged dog. And from here, we'll go ahead and exhale. Flipping the hips open, stacking them. Maybe we look underneath that right armpit and rolling out that top right ankle from side to side. If you'd like to flip your dog completely, you can step on the outside here and press the hips up. Looking back towards those right fingertips. And then on your inhale, coming back up into a three-legged dog. And then on your exhale, we'll come up into that warrior one. So the knee and the foot come up. 90-degree angle with that front knee. Inhaling up. And then we'll hang out here for a second. Exhale, hips and shoulders soften. Tailbone tucked under. We'll take one last breath. On the exhale, opening up, you can spiral that back foot so the toes face the long edge of your mat into a warrior two. Go ahead and check in with the hips. Make sure they're aligned with the long edge of your mat. And then sending those arms long, you can flip the palms up, facilitating the shoulders down the spine. And you'll look over those front right fingertips. Breathing here, maybe we bend a little bit more in that front right knee. And when you're ready, go ahead and wrap that left arm around the low back and reverse your warrior, keeping a bend in that front right knee. Breathing here. One last breath. Looking up, we'll go ahead and come back into that warrior two, straightening that front right leg. And finding your blocker book if you like it. You're going to go ahead and just begin to tip over, sending that right hand down either towards the shin, ankle, or finding a blocker book on the outside of that front foot. You'll sweep that left arm up so the shoulder and wrist are stacked. And it's nice sometimes, even if you do have the flexibility to get down to your foot or the floor, to have a block or a book, because pressing into something really allows for that facilitation of the chest towards the ceiling. So we really obviously are stretching the hips, but we want a heart opener here. So as we breathe, we feel the belly inflate, and as we exhale, we feel the belly deflate and the chest twist towards the ceiling. Gaze is towards those top fingers. One last breath, maybe pressing a little more intentionally into the floor of the block. And then we'll exhale, spiral that top left hand down in front. And once again, if you do have a block or a book, you can press into that, pointing the toes to the outer corners of your mat, and then maybe bending one knee and then the other, really getting a nice stretch in those inner thighs. And finding that halfway lift sensation here, so we're supporting the back and engaging the core. Coming to stillness, and then bringing your block with you if you have one. We'll pivot so you're facing the opposite end of your mat. So you can bring that block with you, pressing into it with your left hand now, and then inhaling that arm up. So we're on the opposite side now. Our left foot is in front, coming into extended triangle. And the same idea here, the more we press into the floor of the block or our leg, the more we spiral that chest towards the sky. Breathing here. 3 more breaths. We want to make sure our hand is stacked over that shoulder, not going behind or in front, but really right on top. One last breath. Very nice. Then we'll go ahead and come up in a warrior two. So place the bend if you need to shorten your stance, placing a bend in that front left knee now. Making sure your hips are nice and square with the long edge of your mat. And this time we'll wrap that back right hand around the low back, reversing the warrior. Keeping a bend in that front knee, and then exhale, reaching back. One last breath. And then inhaling, warrior two. And once again, if you'd like to flip the palms up, making sure the shoulders are sliding down the spine. And breathing here. And then a little bit of an awkward transition, but we'll go ahead and pivot that back foot 45 degrees, finding your warrior one on the opposite side. So we're pressing to the knife edge of that back foot, keeping a bend in that left knee out in front. And then exhale, shoulders and hips slide down. One last breath. Exhale, spiraling the hands down to frame the foot. Inhaling a three-legged dog. Now our left leg is up in the air. Breathing here. And then on the exhale, stacking the hips. Looking underneath that left armpit, maybe rolling out the top left ankle. And same idea, if you'd like to drop into that wild thing, flipping the dog. Or you can simply keep the hips stacked. Totally up to you. Finding an exhale, coming back into your three-legged dog. Exhaling, meeting back in downward dog, and then bending the knees, finding your child's pose. Extending the arms forward. Chest and forehead finding earth. And if you'd like to kind of get more of a stretch in those shoulder latches, you can inhale, walking the fingers to the upper right-hand corner of your mat, stacking the left on top of the right, and then letting that left armpit really sink towards the earth. And then the same idea on the inhale, coming to the upper left-hand corner, right hand stacks. And then sending that upper right arm and armpit towards the earth. Coming back to center, and then slowly walking your hands up. We'll come to a seat. And we'll do one last powerful posture before transitioning onto our backs here. So everybody's favorite Navasana, a boat pose. So finding your version of boat here. So we'll balance on our, it's not our sacrum, but it's really kind of at that cushion that is in between the glutes and the sacrum. So we want to maybe start with bent knees, engaging that low belly. And you can absolutely hold the backs of the thighs here. You could hold the backs of the shins. You could open up. You could straighten the legs. But I think the way I'm going to start is having everything bent on an inhale, and then on an exhale, straightening and lowering. Inhaling up, and exhaling here. So inhaling your half boat, exhaling to open, inhaling and exhaling, continuing in this way, moving with your own breath, having everything come together and then everything come apart. We'll do 3 more. 1, breathing. 2, low belly's pulled in. 3, very nice. Go ahead and bring the knees in, maybe rocking the head out. And then we'll go ahead and find our Paschimottanasana. First, finding Dandasana, staff pose. So sitting up here, really engaged, toes are flipping back towards the face. Low belly inflates on an inhale and deflates on an exhale. And then keeping this whole sensation, we'll inhale the arms up overhead, looking up, and then on the exhale, hinging to fold forward. And wherever your hands land, that's perfect. Finding that halfway lift sensation, so really shooting the tailbone back, And we'll inhale here. If you have a strap at home or anything to kind of pull on to facilitate that heart opening, the tailbone shooting back, absolutely go for that. Otherwise, finding a comfortable hold. Again, if that's up here, down here, down here. And then exhale the chest towards the tops of the thighs. And with each exhale, we soften closer to the earth. With each inhale, maybe we lift up a little bit, opening. Exhale to soften. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to soften. Go ahead and drop the head, letting the neck soften, rocking from side to side. I have a really tight neck, so these are always really kind of a hurt so good kind of way. We don't want to hurt so bad, but we do want to feel that brink of discomfort. And that's always a good rule to live by for yoga and for anything, deciphering between discomfort and pain. You can even place the hands interlaced on the back of the head. And coming out of the posture a little bit. And letting gravity be your assist. Letting go, gently walking the hands up the legs, next to the hips. And we'll continue, walk the hands back about 1.5 hands distance behind the hips. And you have two options here. We're going to either go into Eastern stretch or reverse tabletop. Reverse tabletop is exactly what it sounds like. Bending knees, pressing into the earth, and lifting the hips up. You can create a shelf with your shoulders. And inhaling up, getting a nice stretch in those upper arms. Eastern stretch is very similar, except we're going to have our legs straight. Heels together and lifting the hips up here. So an elongated version of the former. Wherever you're at, inhale the hips up a little bit higher. Remembering to continue to breathe. And then exhale, letting the hips come down. And from here, we'll go ahead and transition fully onto our backs. So we'll go ahead and bring the knees into the chest, rocking back and forth, massaging out the spine, and breathing here. And we'll go into a couple of twists. So go ahead and retain that right knee into the right armpit and releasing the fingers around that knee. Breathing here, and then inhale, and then on an exhale, taking that left hand and guiding it across the left side of the body. You can let that right arm come long, and a counter twist here, so looking at those right fingertips. And you'll come off of that hip. That's totally fine and normal, and really actually facilitates the stretch a little bit more in that outer right hip. Imagine sending the breath to those tight spaces. One last breath. And bringing the knee back into that hip. Back in towards the armpit, interlacing the fingers, bringing it in, maybe rocking from side to side. And before we let that knee fall, we'll come into a figure four stretch. So letting that right ankle come on top, just above the left knee. And then a couple of options here. You can either grab onto the pant leg, send that right hand through that little loop you created with your legs, and either interlace them behind that left thigh or around that left knee. So bringing the knee a little bit closer to the chest, letting that right elbow be an opposing force to that inner right thigh. You'll get a great stretch in that outer right hip If you have a wall, you can always go up against the wall and press into that with your left foot. Breathing. 2 more very slow breaths here. And that last breath, we rock side to side. And then letting go very, very gently. Maybe we plant the feet, windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Just noticing the difference between the two sides. And then we'll let that right leg come long. The left knee is retained into that left armpit. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So we're not walking in circles the rest of the day. If you like to roll out that ankle, you can do so. And then eventually we'll guide that left knee across the right side of the body using that right hand. Left arm comes long, looking over those left fingertips. And we'll breathe here, sending the breath into that outer left hip. And letting the jaw relax, facial muscles relax. Knowing that we're coming to a close of this flow. When you're ready, inhaling that knee back up into the armpit. And we'll do a figure 4 on this side. So bending that right knee, we'll place the left ankle just above the knee, creating that number 4. Yogi's choice if you'd like to grab the pant leg. Send that left hand through that space created and either interlace the fingers behind that right thigh or over that right knee. That's my personal favorite. And a bit of a disclaimer here, only if you can get that upper body relaxed on the floor. We don't want to be up here. That's not going to help us relax or soften. So if you are not able to, for whatever reason, interlace the fingers over the knee and have your upper body down, go ahead and change the position of your hands because this is much more important. You can always use the opposite hand to facilitate that stretch. So finding what works for you. Every body is different. Every single day, your body is going to act differently. So honoring what your body needs today. We'll take one last breath here. Maybe rocking from side to side on that final breath. And then gently unwinding. Windshield wiper the legs back and forth one last time. And then we'll find a reclined Baddha Konasana or butterfly and then a happy baby. So soles of the feet together, yogi's choice, knees, shins, ankles, or if you can interlace fingers around the feet. And then maybe we'll facilitate pressing the feet into the hands, and then the hands press into the feet. So we get a really nice elongation here, shoulders away from the ears. If you'd like to wiggle the hips side to side, getting a nice inner thigh stretch. And then we'll go ahead and open up into a happy baby. Yogi's choice once again, you can hold the shins, outer edges of the feet, or peace fingers to big toes. And rocking side to side. There's, if you're looking at this virtually, which is it's offered virtually, there's a high chance you're alone. So feel free to kind of be goofy and silly with this if you'd like to straighten one knee and then the other, really rocking back and forth. And there's a reason it's obviously called happy baby because that's what we look like here, but if we really kind of let ourselves get into that and shifting around in the hips, we feel that sensation of opening and kind of being carefree and letting go of judgment or criticism. And getting into the hips where we store a lot of emotional stress and tension. And similar to child's pose, knowing that we can come to a happy baby at any time, you need a little bit of a stress reliever. Go ahead and maybe rock the knees together side to side. And then eventually we're going to come into our Shavasana. So finding a comfortable spot on your mat or floor or even a couch, wherever you are, letting the legs come long, maybe the ankles splay away from one another. Yogi's choice, your hands can either be face down on the belly or maybe face down on the floor. And both of those are more grounding sensations. If you'd like more of an energetic sensation, maybe you're doing this in the morning, go ahead and flip the palms up, more receptive to energy. Wherever you are, begin to really melt into the space where you're laying. Letting the eyes be heavy in their sockets. Scalp, brow, release. Teeth separate, the tongue is heavy. Throat is nice and open, extending down to the chest. And the shoulders are falling away from one another, opening the heart. And that sensation extends down the arms, upper arms, eyes of the elbows, lower arms and wrists, soften and release. And then all 10 fingers unfurl and hold no tension. And the belly is soft. And the hips are heavy. And the upper leg, kneecap, and lower leg also soften and release. And last but not least, the whole of each foot from the ankle, the heel, to the arch, the tips of all 10 toes. Release into the floor, on the couch, wherever you're at. This is our time to really rest into ourselves, into the practice. Reflect and quiet the mind, which is a lot easier said than done. But if distracting thoughts come across your brain, go ahead and gently release them, knowing that we have plenty of time to attend to anything else, but right now is our designated time to turn in, since we're always turning outwards. Internal reflection is necessary in order to maintain organization of those external factors. Thinking on that intention that you might have set in the very beginning. Thinking on how you apply that as you move throughout your physical body, and then maybe as you think, using the mental and emotional and spiritual self. And when you're ready, beginning to draw awareness back into the breath. And perhaps simply by drawing awareness to the breath, you'll feel it begin to deepen. Belly rising on an inhale and falling on an exhale. Start to wiggle fingers and toes, rolling out wrists and ankles, shifting the legs from side to side. And you can begin to rock the head from side to side, even wiggling out the jaw. And eventually bringing the knees up into the chest, giving yourself a great big hug of gratitude for practicing, carving out time for yourself. In whatever way you know how, whether you want to roll to one side or begin to gently rock backwards and forwards. We'll go ahead and meet in a comfortable seat, just as we began, on our mat or the couch, wherever you're practicing virtually today. Again, keep the eyes closed, placing the hands to heart center, and the thumbs into the breastbone, reminding the heart to remain open, both physically as well as figuratively. And we'll take one last big belly breath in. And on the exhale, hinging at the hips to fold forward. Letting everything go. Go ahead and inhaling back up. You can put the eyes open. Thank you guys so much for coming to practice and carving out time. And I hope you'll continue to do so as we move into the winter months. So have a beautiful day. We'll see you later.